Happy Tuesday. It came around again just as quickly as it does. I hope you guys are realizing that it is like almost the half year point, which is insane.
It's, it really is. But, I think it goes by faster when you're doing what you love to do, when you're surrounded with people who fill your cup and who fulfill you and just bring you joy, and they're not draining you. The days go by a lot faster that way. And I think, I don't know, I'm just enjoying life more when you're surrounded by people who bring you happiness.
Yeah. And if you can really get into that flow of good work life integration where you're having fun and doing the things that fill your cup personally, just as well as professionally, and you're surrounded by people that are doing that, the days do go by faster because you're filling them with all of these things and you're more intentional about that. And so it's not a bad thing. And it's good to be aware that we are almost at the halfway point. So if you haven't taken a look at your numbers and your goals and your personal goals, just as much as your professional, it would be a great time to go back and look at what did you put in place? Where are you today? And like, what do you have to do to make up for any deficiencies? Or maybe you're on track or ahead of it. Great. And maybe you even readjust your long goal, because typically, at least in this real estate business that we find many of our clients in, Haley, the first half of the year isn't nearly as busy as the second half of the year. So if you're already on pace for goals, it's good news for you guys because you're probably going to surpass them. So were you thinking too small? Do you need to adjust things? And if you haven't been able to integrate your work in your life as much as you've wanted to, maybe this is just a good checkup, right? And just like, okay, I still have half the year left. What do I need to change? So I just thought of that this morning and wanted to bring it to our viewers. So what are we going to talk about today, Haley?
Yeah, I think that's actually a great segue into our topic today. Another topic that was suggested to us by a listener, which is how to prioritize your business. This is something that I think most of the coaching clients that we have, we talk about priorities, because as an entrepreneur, or even if you're not an entrepreneur, honestly, I mean, you could be a stay-at-home mom, you could be working in any industry, any field, and it's how do I prioritize my life, my goals? What do I focus on? Most of us that are entrepreneurs, we have all this energy and we just need to know, how do I take this energy? It's intentional, it's purposeful, like I'm really excited and I'm hungry and driven, but where do I focus that energy on? So I'll start by asking you, Cari, how do I identify my priorities?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, you need to start, if we're talking about business, you need to start with revenue. Because if you're not making money, you can't do any of the other things that you want to do in business or life. So we're not in business, unless you're in business that you don't have to necessarily make the money, then that's a whole different story. But most of us are in business to make money, and we have to make money to live. And so quit having negative mindsets about making money. It is a good thing. So prioritize based on revenue generating activities. And there are probably a lot of things you could do to generate revenue. Which one do you, can you do that takes you maybe the least amount of time and effort so that you have the highest dollar per hour activity, and focus on those? And you need to also ask yourself the question of if it brings you some joy. And the reason why I think that's important, Haley, is because even if we have something that generates a lot of income, but we absolutely despise it, we're still not going to intentionally prioritize it. We might put it on our calendar, but we're going to procrastinate. We're not going to want to do it. So we have to be very in tune with, do we also get joy from it, and will we want to do it? So ask yourself, does it make me money, and do I get joy from it, or do I actually feel motivated to do it? If the answer is yes, then it has to become a priority first and foremost for your business. And then you need to focus on it as much as possible and not get distracted by all the other things you could do that maybe are a lower dollar per hour rate. They aren't necessarily going to make you quite as much money. You may or may not have as much joy. And so always ask yourself that question. Is this something that I should be doing instead of this thing over here? Does it make me more money or bring me more joy, or both? And if not, then I need to stay focused over here. So it might be a question you have to ask yourself like constantly, right? As we just look at our priorities. And then when you look at your personal priorities, you have to ask yourself, what are the most important things in your life? If you had all the money in the world and you didn't need to work, what would you spend your time doing, and who would you spend your time with? Those usually clear out our priorities. And then we go, okay, then what do I need to do to make that happen?
Yes, I love that so much. I'm literally thinking like all these different questions to ask you because I think we can take this in so many different directions. But I want to make sure that we're staying on track and on time and just giving our listeners some really good tips here. So,
Yeah.
my next question to you would be, once you identify the area that's bringing you in the most income and bringing you the most joy, how can you use leverage to start helping you focus on those priorities?
Yeah. So people oftentimes go, well, I'm not bringing in enough revenue yet to get leverage, or what I think I need to pay for this leverage, I just don't have it, and they have a real limiting belief around that. And I think that we have to get creative. If you love what you do and you know it can bring you money that you need to live and you're excited about it, and you will actually go do it more if you had more time. You've got to have the faith and confidence in yourself that you're going to show up and do that, and you know you're going to get a return on the investment. But there are plenty of things that you can do, from outsourcing to internships to commission based or incentive based, giving people an opportunity. Look, if you were to pay everybody on every single transaction that you went and did because you wanted to focus on this particular thing, and you felt pretty confident that if you got rid of these tasks you could do more of it, then you can cast that vision to that person and show them, look, if you can give me this leverage, I will go do this. This is what I'm good at. Let's go get this. And then you get a piece of that. They will be energized, inspired, and they'll trust you to go do what you can do. And they will feel motivated to take off your plate what they need to make sure that they can be, involved in that incentive-based situation. So people just get really hung up on like this box of, I've got to pay people a certain thing and it has to be just a salary. And there's a whole bunch of options. And if you really are the leader that can understand what opportunity exists and you're willing to go for it, you can share that vision with somebody. They'll want to go along for the ride. And you oftentimes find somebody that can be pretty exciting. Internships are a big thing, Haley, and we've been talking to a lot of people right now about that.
Mhm.
So a lot of people don't think of that. Of course, there's VAs that are a lot less expensive, and there are transaction-based leverage. Transaction coordinators in real estate are the perfect example, but there are people that will do things even on the marketing side and the listing side and so forth. So just to get creative. And then the last tip, because I know we're short on time here, the last tip, and I think you were wanting me to speak about, is, or a thing that I've noticed is, we prioritize and we focus, and then we get the leverage, and then we do not replace that time with
Yes.
more of what we needed to do to get the return on investment. So I always ask people, if you're going to spend any amount of money, I don't care if it's in a creative way, it's a salary, it's a commission, it's an incentive, it's an internship. If you're giving away something to somebody else, what are you replacing that time with that's going to move the needle forward in your life or your business in the way that you want to? That is a question that you have to ask yourself, and something you have to hold yourself accountable to.
Yes, I would agree with that. And I think that it's just really, really important, if you do hire leverage, that you're just transparent and you're honest. And I think
Yeah.
when you come through as being authentic and you can cast the vision and be creative, oh my gosh, people will follow you because they want to be inspired. People want to
Yes.
be led and they want to be inspired. And we've talked about this before. They don't want to be managed. What they want is, they just want you to show them, these are the possibilities. This is the potential.
Yeah.
Are you inspired by that? And if they are, then just get creative. You don't have to start out paying this huge salary if you're providing options for people to grow with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And so when you are thinking about your business, just ask yourself those three questions. Like, what makes me the most money and brings me joy? It might not bring you the most joy, but brings you joy. It's not something you're going to procrastinate. What can you do to be creative about leverage? And then how are you going to replace that time? And then this is going to allow you more time to go to that second priority, third priority, and you're not going to feel so distracted.
Love it. And then, of course, if you guys have any questions about this or want us to continue on this conversation, please reach out to us. Make sure to go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, like, and we will see you guys here next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.